After a bitter confrontation, my father yelled that I meant nothing to him anymore and that I should never set foot in our house again. Supported by Andrew, my soon-to-be husband, I left our family home, tears streaming down my face. This painful moment came just after I graduated from high school. My name is Amy, and now, at 31 years old, I'm a farmer. It's been 15 years since that fateful day. Reflecting on it now, I realize I've lived more years building my own life than the time spent in my childhood home, a thought that fills me with a mix of nostalgia and pride. I grew up in a city where my father worked a program coordinator job and my mother took care of our home. Our family of 5 also included my older brother Silas, who was clearly favored as the heir. This preference was obvious in everything from the quality of our meals to the lavishness of his birthday gifts. He took pride in his favored status, often belittling me, which left me feeling isolated and starved for attention, a plea my parents continually ignored. My life's turning point came during the summer of my junior year in high school. Silas was preparing for college entrance exams, aiming for a prestigious university. Under the pressure of poor mock exam results, he frequently lashed out at me. Meanwhile, my parents, treating him with kid gloves, burdened me with chores to free up his time. Despite performing better academically, they seemed intent on sabotaging my grades to keep his spirits up, an approach that made no sense to me. Around this time, I learned of a rural experience program through my school, offering students a chance to live on a farm for a few days, participating in activities like harvesting vegetables and cooking. Despite my troubled home life, I decided to join, eager for a change. However, my father dismissed the idea, criticizing the agricultural life as foolish. Despite his resistance, this program opened a new path for me, leading me away from my tumultuous family dynamics towards a life where I could flourish on my own terms. Disparaged by my father for choosing a path he deemed suitable only for those who failed to secure program coordinator jobs, and mocked by my mother for embracing the physical labor and inevitable mess of farm work, I still decided to defy their objections. Using the pocket money I had saved, I signed up for the Rural Experience Program, my first act of rebellion against my parents' commands. This decision, driven by my yearning for the affection I lacked at home, turned out to be a transformative one. The fresh, rural air and the physical work were refreshing and fulfilling. More importantly, I discovered a different kind of family warmth that I had been craving. There, I met Andrew, the eldest son of the host family, who was about the same age as Silas, but his demeanor was worlds apart. Unlike Silas, Andrew was kind yet assertive, harmonious with his parents, and incredibly supportive towards me. His parents were genuinely caring, and when my brief stay ended, the emotional farewell left both Andrew's mother and me in tears, with her assuring me that I was always welcome to return. I promised I would. As modern technology was scarcely used by them, I kept in touch through letters, which soon turned into a regular correspondence with Andrew, resembling an exchange diary. Our relationship blossomed from this quaint beginning into a heartfelt, albeit long-distance romance, devoid of physical intimacy. Meanwhile, after Silas settled for a lesser-known private college having failed his preferred university entrance, I faced pressure from my parents to forego college and start working, under the pretext that women didn't need higher education. However, their true motive was likely their desire not to have me attend a more prestigious university than Silas. Inspired by my rural experience, I harbored dreams of becoming a farmer, a dream that did not require a college degree. Yet, knowing Andrew was in college and exploring modern agriculture specialist, I was motivated to pursue an education that could lead to innovative farming practices. With a clear goal in mind, I dedicated myself to studying, despite the ongoing distractions and discouragements from my family. My determination paid off when I passed the university entrance exams, a success that infuriated my father. He accused me of trying to overshadow Silas by aiming for a superior university. My mother echoed his sentiments, claiming they could not afford my education because Silas's needs were their priority, suggesting instead that I should work and contribute financially to the household. Despite these challenges, I remained steadfast in my resolve to forge my own path and redefine what success meant to me. Crushed by my parents' harsh words during a heated argument, I made the difficult decision to sever ties with them. Andrew, who was my steadfast support, came to take me away from that toxic environment. His parents, who would soon become my in-laws, generously offered to cover my college expenses, enabling me to pursue higher education. 5 years later, Andrew and I were married. Throughout my college years, I had no contact with my family. However, upon my in-laws' insistence that we should at least inform my family about the wedding, we visited my childhood home for the first time in 5 years, right after my graduation. It was the beginning of summer, and we were all deeply tanned from the hard work of planting season. Upon seeing us, my family's reaction was cutting. My mother, barely concealing her scorn, remarked on our sun-darkened skin, insinuating our poverty. My quiet plea for her to stop was blatantly ignored. Silas scoffed, praising his intellectual work as a sign of intelligence, implying our manual labor showed a lack of it. The smiles on my in-laws' faces turned to expressions of shock, but Andrew stood firm, proudly affirming our life as farmers. My father's response was brutally dismissive, declaring that with my marriage to a poor farmer, I was to be treated as a stranger and warned not to seek any financial help from them in the future. Disowned once at 15, I was already familiar with standing on my own, but this explicit reaffirmation of their rejection was still hard to swallow. The ride back home was quiet, and I couldn't help but cry, feeling the weight of my family's rejection yet again. I decided then to let go of any hopes of reconciliation and move forward with my new family. As the years passed, the sting of their words faded. I was blessed with 2 children and a life filled with rewarding work and love. Nearly 2 decades later, while I had all but forgotten those painful memories, a cousin reached out to inform me that Silas was getting married. This news stirred some old feelings, but I was reminded of the full and rich life I had built away from the shadows of my past. My cousin and I have always shared a close bond, keeping in touch sporadically even after my marriage. One time, I sent them some rice from our farm which they found exceptionally tasty, becoming regular buyers. This connection kept our relationship alive, and we found joy in our monthly phone chats. During one of these calls, my cousin mentioned Silas's upcoming wedding, a topic I knew nothing about, given my estrangement from my family. It seemed there were also plans for my family to move into a new duplex post-wedding. My cousin, aware of the rift but perhaps optimistic about familial duties, hinted that I might see them at the wedding or other significant events. After ending the call, a spur-of-the-moment decision led me to try contacting my mother. To my surprise, an automated message informed me that her number was no longer in use. The same happened when I tried my father's number. Unsure of Silas's number and feeling anxious, I dialed the family landline. The phone rang, and my heart raced as I waited. Silas answered. "Hello? Silas, it's Amy. I heard you're getting married and moving," I started, hesitating as I tried to choose my words carefully, about to congratulate him. But before I could continue, he interrupted. "There's no need for you to do anything. You, a farmer, are a stranger to me. Don't call me again," he snapped and abruptly ended the call. Stunned, I tried to call back, only to discover that I was blocked. His harsh dismissal was a painful reminder of our severed ties. Despite our shared past, he still viewed me with disdain. Seeing me upset, my husband approached with concern. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" he asked gently, ready to offer comfort. His presence was a soothing balm, but the sting of rejection from my own Silas lingered, a harsh reality of the family dynamics I had long tried to leave behind. As I recounted the hurtful conversation with Silas to my husband, tears flowed uncontrollably. His reaction, along with that of my in-laws, mirrored my anguish. "Your home is here, Amy. Your family is with us," my mother-in-law Sienna reassured me, her words wrapping around me like a warm embrace. In that moment, I wished she could be my real mother, for her care surpassed anything I had experienced from my own blood relations. My father-in-law's Wesley comforting words followed, emphasizing my present happiness as the ultimate measure of success. "No need to get hurt. The one who laughs is the winner," he said sagely. My husband chimed in, suggesting we take my family's behavior as a lesson in what not to become. Even our children, unaware of the full extent of the situation, offered their support with tight hugs, filling me with gratitude. Despite the love and support I found within my new family, a significant turning point came when my business was featured on national television. Leveraging my knowledge from college and the surplus produce from my in-laws' farm, I started a web developer venture selling jams, juices, and pickles made from slightly imperfect fruits and vegetables. Backed by the local farmers' union, our business flourished, resonating with consumers seeking safe, locally sourced food options. The success story of our $7 million business, built by young women like me who married into farming families, garnered widespread attention after the TV coverage. Amidst the flurry of inquiries and orders following the broadcast, an unexpected call came through, an unknown number flashing on my phone's screen. To my surprise, it was Silas. It seemed he had caught wind of my newfound success. His abrupt request for financial assistance left me speechless. Barely exchanging pleasantries, he bluntly asked for money to kickstart his own business venture. My response was firm and unequivocal, "Excuse me, but no." Upon hearing Silas's brazen demand for money, my resolve hardened, and I firmly declined his request. However, he was relentless and called again, aggressively insisting that I fund his entrepreneurial dreams, arguing that if I could succeed, so could he. This display of entitlement baffled me, especially since he had previously cast me aside, calling me a stranger because I was a simple farmer. During this heated exchange, I took the opportunity to ask something that had been bothering me for a while: why I hadn't been informed about his upcoming marriage and the family's move. His response was as dismissive as it was enlightening. He blamed his wife, describing her as a city girl who insisted on cutting ties with me the moment she learned about me. Frustrated and not wanting to delve deeper into his justifications, I ended the call and blocked his number. It became clear that Silas's attitudes were likely influenced by his wife, who seemed to share the dismissive traits of my own parents. Later, another unknown number appeared, and this time it was my father. His accusatory tone took me by surprise as he questioned, "Why are you the boss? Did you steal a man's job?" I calmly explained that both Andrew and Wesley were actively involved in the farming business, emphasizing the strategic business decisions behind our operations. I mentioned that Wesley was the president of the local agricultural association and Andrew had incorporated his share, making him the president of that corporation. Perhaps my explanations had an impact because his tone shifted slightly, and he asked why I hadn't reached out to them. Stunned by the hypocrisy, I reminded him that they were the ones who had disowned me. With that, I ended the call and blocked his number too. But the calls didn't stop there. Shortly after, my mother phoned, demanding why I wasn't supporting Silas financially. She exaggerated our business earnings, claiming we made $500 million a year, and asked for a ludicrous sum of money, citing all the favors they had done for me by raising me. Her aggressive demand was shocking but not entirely unexpected given her previous behavior. Each call only reinforced my decision to maintain distance from my biological family, whose expectations and entitlement seemed boundless. Despite their attempts to reinsert themselves into my life due to my financial success, I chose to prioritize the well-being and tranquility of my chosen family, the one that had truly supported and uplifted me through all these years. Despite the dizzying revenue figures we hit, after expenses and employee salaries, the actual profit was much less. I tried to explain this to my mother, who instantly accused me of lying, insistent on her demands for a sizable financial handout. I couldn't help but wonder how she wasn't embarrassed by her audacity. Firm in my resolve, I told her, whether I have the money or not, we're strangers, before I hung up and blocked her number. I hoped that would close the chapter, but I was mistaken. Unexpectedly, my family, my parents, Silas, and his wife whom I'd never met, arrived uninvited at my in-laws' home. My father attempted to bridge the gap with what he thought was an enticing offer. "Hey Amy, you want to hear the surprise? I'm revoking the disownment." The sheer desperation for financial gain was palpable. Sienna, clearly perturbed, asked, "What on earth is going on with you people?" The room filled with a tense silence, broken only by the collective stares of Wesley, Sienna, and our employees, all fixed on my family with disbelief. Silas, feeling bold, asserted a misplaced right to my earnings, backed by his wife's nodding approval. "The real blood connector family is us. We have the right to the money you earn too," he claimed. I was livid. "I don't think so. Though we share blood, there's no emotional bond. You treated me like a stranger and abandoned me." The old wounds of familial rejection were painfully reopened, and I felt tears threatening to fall again. At that crucial moment, Andrew stepped beside me, his presence reassuring. "Bella is now a part of our family, and even without you disowning her, we are perfectly happy. Please go home," he stated firmly, defending me with unwavering support. Our employees also voiced their disapproval, shocked by the audacity of my biological family. "Were you thinking? How rude," they murmured among themselves, showing where their loyalties lay. As I stood there, surrounded by genuine support, I felt a profound sense of belonging. Silas, unable to handle the confrontation, lashed out. "Shut up, you country bumpkins. You're all low-educated trash, aren't you? Obey what we say in silence," he ranted. Andrew, calm yet assertive, responded, "Well, both," but his words trailed off as it was clear that no reasoning would sway Silas's thinking. In that moment, surrounded by the people who truly valued and accepted me, I knew where I truly belonged. The confrontation underscored the stark contrast between my past and present, affirming my decision to embrace the family that chose me over the one that discarded me. My father and I both have Ivy League degrees, and Bella graduated from a prestigious university renowned for its agricultural program. We revealed our educational backgrounds casually, which seemed to shock Silas profoundly. Despite being Ivy League alumni, the concept of us choosing to farm baffled him. Given his graduation from a lower-ranking university, his university title might have been his only source of pride, and he likely didn't anticipate being outclassed in educational credentials. Andrew, maintaining his composure, explained, "Farming is a respectable profession. We can fully utilize what we've studied in college." His words left me unable to suppress my laughter. Amidst the tension, I couldn't help but see the irony. "Silas, you've lost to Andrew in every aspect," I said, my laughter providing a brief relief from years of built-up anxiety. I then gathered my courage to set boundaries clearly, perhaps for the last time. "Let me say this clearly one last time, we are already strangers," I declared, pausing to ensure my words were taken seriously. Switching to a more formal tone, I continued, "So I can't lend or give money to strangers. Please leave. If you make a fuss or act violently, I'll call the police and take legal action." At that moment, my in-laws and husband stepped closer, ready to protect me from any potential harm from my parents and Silas. Their support was a tangible reminder of the family I truly belonged to. The employees also rallied behind me, loudly urging my family to leave. "Out of here. Go home," they shouted. My parents, Silas, and sister-in-law Riley could only glare at us with resentment, their options exhausted, retreating in defeat. Later, I heard from my cousin that Silas and parents had tried to get rich quickly by starting a business with debts instead of borrowing money from me. Their arrogance, however, led to a significant failure, and now they were nearly bankrupt. I decided then that their fate would no longer concern me. As for myself, my career was flourishing, and I was blessed with a family that truly valued and respected me, wonderful in-laws, a loving husband, and adorable children. Moving forward, I vowed to cherish each day and savor the happiness life offered, surrounded by those who genuinely cared for me.